Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High-impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Mack Story.
All right. Thanks for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. So today I'm back to continue what I started last week, talking about some of my most recent quotes. So I only got 5 in last time. Only had enough time to share 5. So since I ain't got to do the warm up and I can just get right to it, hopefully today maybe I can get through 10 quotes, but who knows? We're just gonna get started and get going and see where we end up. So the first 4 are going to be something that I wrote myself, but I did, as I told you before, I added them to my quote file. So you'll be hearing from me, sharing my own thoughts. But these are thoughts that I most likely wrote to someone else to help them on LinkedIn or some social media, or potentially I may have written this in some kind of post or something that I was just generically sharing. I don't remember. All I know is I thought I needed to capture it, which means put it in my file. So the first one I want to share with you is, most people aren't struggling in life due to a lack of competency. They're struggling due to a lack of character. And I talk about that all the time. Unless you're a new listener, you've probably heard me say that. But I'm pretty sure I get new listeners every week. So I just want to cover this for you. But even if you're someone who, I know some of you out there, I've talked to you before, and I've heard you say you've listened to all episodes 2 or 3 times. I mean, that's 420 something episodes at this point, and you've listened to them. Some people I know have listened to them at least twice. Some people 3 times. All of them. They go around and around, and you say, why do they go through them twice? Because if they're truly growing, they're going to hear something they missed the first time. And that's real easy to do with audio, because when the audio is playing, you can have a thought and get lost in that thought. And by the time you kind of done having your thought session, your reflection session, you may have missed 2 or 3 minutes. You may have missed 5 or 10, 15 minutes. Who knows? But a lot of people haven't trained themselves that when they get into thought, when something is thought-provoking in an audio, a lot of people haven't made it a habit to hit the pause button literally on whatever device you're listening to the audio on, and pause it so that you can think about whatever it is you're thinking about for however long you want to, till you got all that out of the way, and then go back and hit play. That way you don't miss anything. Took me a while when I started listening to audio to figure that one out. I realized I miss a lot of stuff because I start thinking, and by the time I realize I've been thinking for a while, I done missed a bunch of stuff. Yes, I could go back and rewind it, and that's what I do now. But for a long time, I didn't. I just let it keep going because I'm thinking I've already heard it. But really, I didn't hear it because I wasn't paying any attention. So that's just something you can do. But getting back to this quote, most people aren't struggling in life due to a lack of competency. They're not. They're struggling due to a lack of character. And even if they don't have a competency that they need, that might cause them to struggle, but that's not the root cause of their struggle. The root cause is they don't have the character to get the competency that they need, whatever that means in their life. They're not willing to make the sacrifice to go get that competency, or they don't have the discipline to go get that competency. Sacrifice and discipline, 2 different things, but it's related to that quote. So I got to have it's all character. The root cause of everything that's not right in your life is character. Your character, not somebody else's. Other people in the world could never change, but you could change, and your whole life changes. That's because your character is the root cause of your results, your circumstances. It goes all the way back to your values, because your character is determined by your values. But your values lead to your circumstances, which determine your results. your results determine your circumstances. But all that starts back with your values. And the good thing about it is you can hit reset, change your values at any moment. Like me personally, I used to value drinking alcohol. One day I hit reset, and that was in 2012. 12 years ago, I hit reset. I ain't drank a drop since. Why? I changed my values. Was it easy? At that time, it was easy. But the other 100 times before that, when I tried, it wasn't so easy because it never worked. I'm not telling you got to do that. I'm just giving you an example of how I pushed the reset button. I made a different choice. I started getting different results. I can tell you this, I ain't wasted a penny on alcohol since then. I ain't wasted any time drinking it. I ain't wasted any time having a headache from it the next day. I ain't wasted any money fixing something stupid I done when I was drinking alcohol. All kind of ways I can tell you. And you probably can figure them out yourself. But I decided I wanted to not be struggling because of that. And there's lots of other examples. That's just one that most people could relate to, whether they drink or don't drink. Doesn't make any difference. Most people could understand if I did drink and I quit drinking, that I ain't struggling because I'm drinking anymore. All those problems I had related, they're gone. I don't have any problems related to alcohol anymore because I don't drink alcohol anymore. I see lots of other people having those same problems, and I'm like, they could just stop and they wouldn't have those problems. But they don't choose to stop. They choose to keep doing what they've been doing. So they keep getting the same results they've been getting. Sometimes they get worse. So here's another quote I shared with somebody somewhere, but it made it into my file after I shared it. What I said here was, until we can lead ourselves intentionally, we won't be positioned to lead others effectively. So as leaders, whether you're talking about being a formal authority leader at work, or whether you're a parent at home, both of those are leaders of other people. But ultimately, everyone is a leader. But I'm talking now formal authority leaders, meaning you're a formal authority leader at work, or you're in a formal authority leadership role at home, such as, being the parent. But until we lead ourselves intentionally, remember the most important person you're ever going to lead is yourself. The most difficult person you're ever going to lead is yourself. And I'm saying become intentional about that, which I really don't have to tell you because you're listening. Unless somebody told you or made you, or you're sitting in a room somewhere and there's a leader somewhere playing this audio and you have to listen to it. Unless someone's and then you still don't have to. But if you want to work somewhere and the leader tells you to listen, you might have to listen though, right? But I'm saying if you're voluntarily listening to this because you want to, then you're leading yourself intentionally. You're intentionally trying to grow and develop the way that you think, improve yourself in whatever that means to you. But until you can lead yourself intentionally, you won't be positioned to lead others effectively. Now, you can manage others. If you're the boss, you can tell them what to do. That's not leadership. That's dictatorship. That ain't what I talk about. That ain't what I write about. That ain't what I'm interested in. I have about zero interest in being a dictator to anybody. I prefer to lead myself well, to continuously grow and intentionally develop myself so that I can be a better leader that others want to follow. See, managers of people, they want people who have to follow them. They like their authority, their control, their power, all this stuff. They thrive on it. Managers of people do. Leaders of people, they don't want to do all that. They want to build a high-performance team where people hold themselves accountable, people take responsibility, they make things happen, they create momentum, they get results, they're willing to take risks, they're okay with making a mistake, not over and over, but if I make one, it's okay, I'm going to learn from it. Don't make that one again, and now let's move forward. But leading ourselves intentionally positions us to lead others effectively. We got to do the work if you want to be a high-impact leader, and it never stops. You got to become intentional for the rest of your life. But a lot of people, they do it. They become intentional for a while till they can get those results they want, and then they think they can coast the rest of the way. And it doesn't work like that either. If you coasting, you slowing. Even if you're coasting downhill, it may seem like like it's okay to coast, but that downhill ain't gonna go forever. Some point you got to go back uphill, and you ain't gonna coast uphill. I'm gonna go and tell you that. Let's look at the third quote for today. Again, this is another one from me. First four is for me today. This is what I had to say. If you told someone last week that you would do something this week, do it. Your integrity is on the line every time you make a commitment. Every time. Every time you make a commitment, your integrity is on the line. Now, people of low character, they don't care. But I ain't trying to teach people of low character how to have low character. They already know. Now, I may be trying to teach someone of low character who has a desire to develop their character. I'm trying to provoke thought, raise awareness so they can understand what it means when they make a commitment and don't keep it. They're losing integrity. They're losing trust. They're losing influence. All those things losing all those things doesn't make your life better. So if you told someone last week that you would do something this week, do it. Your integrity is on the line every time you make a commitment. And then I said at the last line, there's one more line to that, make it happen. What I mean, when you make a commitment, make it happen. Now, if you say, well, I can't do all these things I've been telling people I was going to do. Okay, stop making the commitment. I know people that they make so many commitments and they know they ain't never going to be able to do them. But a lot of these people, when they make the commitment in their mind, they think they can do it. And in that moment, they may have time to do it and plan to do it. Their mistake comes after that. They make 15 other commitments. And then that one they made 15 commitments ago, they may not end up getting to it. Because a lot of times when somebody's just making so many commitments that they can't keep up with, they just focused on whatever's in front of them at the moment. That's a bad place to be if you value your integrity, if you want to develop character. It's one of the things with me dealing with people, it's one of the things that I don't like it. I don't like, because when somebody tells me they're going to do something, in my mind, I'm adjusting my schedule, my life around whatever that is being done. I'm counting on it. And if I can't count on it, I don't want much of a relationship with you. Because I don't want a relationship with people I got to wonder if they're going to do what they say they're going to do. All that does is create chaos in my life. I'm changing my schedule. I'm changing my life. I'm expecting this to be done. I'm making decisions based on it being done. And then all of a sudden it's not done. And now everything I was thinking about doing, planning, all that's got to redo it. That's a waste of time. It's a waste of effort. So I try to build relationships in my life around people who do what they say they're going to do because they said they were going to do it, meaning they care that they said they were going to do it. So I can count on those people because they're doing it because they said they were going to do it. Just like when I say I'm going to do something. When I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If I make a commitment to you in person. Now, I got the same weakness as a lot of other people. When I'm just talking, I may say I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and it ain't really meaningful. It's not a commitment to somebody. I'll give you an example. I know on this podcast I've said I'm going to do so and so. I'm going to do some episode at some point in the future, and I don't do it. And I may have let you down because you were counting on that, and I apologize for that. But it's not like I made a commitment to a person. And I try not to even do that because there are people like you that you may have heard me say, I'm going to do a podcast on so-and-so coming up, and then you never heard it. So I'm even working on that kind of stuff, just kind of making generic commitments out into the universe. That's kind of the way I see that because it's not committed to a person. But if I'm talking to you and I tell you I'm going to do something, unless some kind of crazy way I actually forget to put it in my calendar, and that kind of stuff can happen. It don't happen in my life a lot, but I can make a mistake like other people. But I've learned I don't make commitments lightly because when I make them, I'm going to do my best to keep them because it matters to me that I committed to you as an individual. So somewhere I wrote that recently on social media, and I said, oh, I need to capture that in my quote file. So let's look at another one, the fourth quote for today. And again, this is one of mine. And actually, I already said it. I hadn't even read it yet. I'm looking right at the screen that's got it on there, but it's related to the last one. And I think I just said it a minute ago, but just in case I didn't, I'll cover it again and I'll maybe dig into it a little deeper. But this goes along with that last one. We shouldn't make commitments lightly because others don't take them lightly. So I didn't say that exactly a minute ago. And that's one reason I separated it here in my quote file, because it's a little bit different. We shouldn't make commitments lightly because others don't take them lightly. See, a lot of people do make commitments lightly. Somebody may say, I'll call you back. If I'm talking to somebody and they say they're going to call me back, guess what I expect them to do? Call me back. If they don't want to call me back, that's fine, but don't say you're going to call me back. Just say, hey, I'll talk to you later. That just means later in life. When is that? I don't know, so I ain't worried about it. But if you say, let me call you back, somebody's trying to call me and I need to get off and answer this call, I'll call you back. That right there means to me, you're probably going to call me back when you get off that call. I've had people say that, and it's 2 weeks before I hear from them. And they ain't calling me back. They just got something else they want to talk about. Or I have people tell me they're going to call me at a certain time. So I adjust my schedule to be available, because if you say, hey, Mac, I'm calling you, I'll call you tonight at 8. Guess what I'm doing? I'm planning on answering the phone at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to be in a situation where I can answer the phone at 8 o'clock. I'm going to be available. And then you don't call. If that's the first interaction I've ever had with you, it's probably going to be hard to catch up with me again. If I got a relationship with you, I may let it slide, but I ain't really let it slide. I made a note of it mentally that you're the kind of person who'll tell me you're going to do something, don't do it. And eventually, I had enough of that. I don't like people to disrespect my time, because see, a lot of times people who think their time is so valuable, they think their time is far more valuable than everybody else's. My time just as important as your time. And when I make a commitment to somebody, I understand their time is important. So I commit to them. I commit to them. I ain't going to waste their time, because if they're like me, they're going to be expecting me to follow through on my commitment. It's going to impact my integrity. That's the kind of people I want to deal with. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I ain't saying I expect everybody else to be perfect. You know what I'm talking about, though. You know people who make commitments and keep them, and sometimes something comes up and they have to ask for forgiveness and reschedule or something like that, or they literally did forget, or something happened in their life and they got sidetracked, but that's not their track record. Then you know other people who have a track record saying they're going to do stuff all the time. The whole time you've known them, they've been saying that. For some reason, you have that relationship with them. Maybe it's a relative, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a boss, maybe it's just a friend. You really like them, but you hate that they keep doing that to you. But they build enough trust in other areas of your life to make up for the distrust they create when they don't keep commitments. I don't know why we always do that, but most of us do at some point. Keep relationships with people who won't keep commitments, and drives us nuts. And a lot of times they don't even care. So I'm striving to be one that keeps my commitments, and I'm striving to build relationships with people who keep their commitments. Because it bothers me big time when people make a commitment to me. And it's just crazy how many people make commitments and they ain't even worried about it because they're making them lightly. Remember what I just told you in this quote: we shouldn't make commitments lightly because others don't take them lightly. We pretty much, no matter how we are, no matter how our character is, when someone commits to us, we pretty much don't forget that. We're expecting it. But a lot of times we don't look in the mirror, and when we make a commitment, we don't think we got to keep it because we're more focused on our intentions than our actions. Well, when I made the commitment, I meant to do it, but then something come up. Well, that's what happens in everybody's life. People of high character learn how not to make commitments lightly because they know they got to keep them. So I want to share with you the fifth quote today. This one, I shared a quote with you last time from Carlos Cody. I told you I had interviewed Carlos on my Real People Getting Real Results interview series on my Blue Collar Leadership YouTube channel. Make sure you go check that out. Check out Carlos. He's got some good information. Carlos is like a upper level manager, general manager. He's worked at places, a lot of big warehouse, logistics type places. I think he worked at Amazon. He worked at Target. I think he's back at Amazon again, but he moves around. He's looking for a high impact leader, and he's growing. You know, people who are growing, they're gonna be moving. People who are growing gonna keep going. So they bounce around a lot, but they bring a lot of value to the table because they're getting a lot of experience from a lot of different places and learning from a lot of different people. So Carlos is always on the go and always on the grow. But you go check him out. I mean, he told me, I think in that interview, he's had as many as 1,200 people reporting directly or indirectly to him, meaning he's been leading a 1,200 person team before in a big operation. So that's who Carlos is, but he's got some good content for you. So Carlos says, another quote from him, he says, "Are you leading or just making all the decisions?" That's what I love about Carlos. He understands the difference between leadership, leading people, and management, managing people. That's why he's asking that question. And I like it. Are you leading or just making all the decisions? See, managers of people think they're supposed to make all the decisions. So that's what they do. They make decisions. They're decision makers. If they're asking you a question, it's so that they can make a decision. It's not really to involve you in the decision. It's to get some information from you so that they can make a more informed decision. But Carlos says, are you leading or just making all the decisions? Because see, high impact leaders, and he knows this. He's read a lot of my books. You listen to his or watch his video, and also those videos, interviews, I put them on here as an audio podcast. So you may have heard it here and not actually seen the video, but you may have heard my interview with him. But he's saying, are you leading or just making all the decisions? Because he knows that a high impact leader, and he is a high impact leader, he knows high impact leaders' goal is to facilitate decision making, not to make all the decisions. If I'm leading my team, I want to make as few decisions as possible. I want my team making as many decisions as possible. All the way down to the frontline entry-level workers, making as many decisions as possible. Start at the bottom, work your way up. Get the folks on the front end making as many decisions as possible. And the ones they can't make, go to the next level. Let the first level of leadership, formal authority leaders, let them make as many decisions as possible. Not because I'm lazy, because I got other things I can be doing besides making a decision that you can make. So I want you to make the decision. The other thing is, if you can make the decision, you're probably going to make a better decision because you're the most informed about what's going on down there where you are. And I'm not just going to do this in a vacuum. I'm not just going to hire somebody and say, hey, you make all the decisions you can make, and I don't know nothing about you. No, I'm going to be hiring people intentionally based on character and competency, but primarily character. I'm going to be growing and developing your character. I'm going to be building relationships with you, meaning everybody on my team. So I'm not facilitating decision making in a vacuum. I'm growing and developing people who can make really, really good decisions, who take responsibility, hold themselves and each other accountable, don't blame other people, who are trying to do what I'm trying to do, which is make the best decision at the moment, realizing tomorrow I might be able to make a better decision, and it's okay. I'm going to change. People who are not trying to just maintain the status quo, but people who are trying to improve processes, improve themselves. Those kind of people, I want to facilitate decision making. If there's somebody on my team, I've got to make all the decisions. One decision I'm going to make is get them off my team. Why do I want them on my team if they're either unwilling to make decisions or won't make decisions? But at the same time, I got to make sure I'm the kind of leader that can facilitate decision making. Meaning if they make a decision, they make a mistake, I ain't going to beat them up for it. I may coach and mentor them so that they don't make it again and help them understand We don't want to make it again, but I want to facilitate decision making. That's what high impact leaders do. I ask you, Carlos, questions one more time. Are you leading or just making all the decisions? If you're a parent, think about that at home with your children, whether they're 5 years old or 15 years old or somewhere in the middle. Are you leading or just making all the decisions? All right. Number 6, got time for one more here. This is another one from my friend Amir Ganad. Pretty sure it probably come from another newsletter I shared with you before. Carlos Cody and Amir Ganad. Amir is Amir. Last name Ganad, Ghanad. You can follow him, look him up on LinkedIn. Same thing with Carlos Cody. So Amir had this to say, and it resonated with me, and I'm like, I got to add that to my quote file. It's some good stuff. As a leader, people don't judge you by your best behavior. They don't even judge you by your worst behavior. They judge you by the worst behavior you tolerate in others. That's good stuff right there, Amir. That's Amir's words. One more time. As a leader, people don't judge you by your best behavior. They don't even judge you by your worst behavior. They judge you by the worst behavior you tolerate in others. That's something right there. I talk about it all the time. A lot of these quotes that I share, I capture from people. I say the same thing all the time. I just say it different. But whenever I can find somebody kind of saying the same stuff I say in a different way, it goes to my quote file because it just validates what I'm already thinking. But it's someone else saying the same thing in their own way that says, hey, this is a high impact leader. And Amir is. I know Amir. So he's just validating me. If he hears what I'm talking about relative to that, he'd hear me validating him. And we respect each other. When you hear high impact leaders talking about stuff, usually they're in alignment. There's just different ways of saying it. But I'll ask people, we're talking about they judge leaders by the worst behavior the leaders tolerate in others. I ask people, you ever been on a team with a toxic team member? Everybody pretty much has. I say when you're on that team with a toxic team member, you knew who they were. That's why you know you were on a team with them. Everybody knows who they are. Guess what else everybody knows? Who they report to. They know who the toxic team member reports to. And they know that leader is saying, it's okay. Even though they may run around and tell everybody, don't be acting like Mack. He may, let's say I'm the one with the bad behavior that's being tolerated, Mack Story. So my boss, just making up a situation here. So my boss knows I got bad behavior, toxic behavior that he don't want other people on the team to have. But he allows me to be that way every day. Then he tells other people not to be that way. Somebody else may do something I do, and they get in trouble for it. But I don't. That happens in places. You've seen it happen. But everybody watching is judging that leader based on my worst behavior because that leader is co-signing, and it ain't just me, literally. If there's a team of 10 people and they're allowed to be on the team, every one of those 10 people, somewhere in their character is their worst behavior. And whatever that worst behavior is, their leader is saying it's okay. They're co-signing saying it's okay. That's why they're still on the team. So anybody who's doing something above what the worst behavior is the leader's tolerating, they get credit for doing something better because the leader's saying it's okay. You don't have to do that. If someone's coming in late every day and they get to stay on the team, everybody ought to just start coming in late. That'd be the best thing everybody could do. Just show up late. Well, if Mac can come in late, why can't everybody else come in late? Then you'd probably find out it probably really ain't okay to come in late. But it's okay for Mac to come in late. Who knows why? Every situation is different. So that's 6 more quotes today for you. Sharing my thoughts on them. Hope you like this. I really like doing this because it helps me just retain the quote. helps me reflect on the quote. It's what I do anyway. But talking to you about it helps you learn about it, helps you learn how I'm thinking about whatever it is that resonates with me. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Talk to you next time.
Make it happen or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mack Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mack's books, programs, special offers, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.